ordered? A martini! What's in that?
Tonight we step behind the polished bar, the ringing ice, the flipping bottles. We dive into a film that captured ambition, charm, the glitz of the 1980s, and yet hid far more beneath its surface than most viewers ever saw. This is Cocktail, 1988, with Tom Cruise, Bryan Brown, and Elisabeth Shue. Exotic resorts lie stories.
Flat beer from rusty pipes. If you only knew how I missed it.
You might have changed that, but they should have beat the wise guy out of you.
Secrets and surprises the critics missed. Here are 10 hidden facts behind cocktail stories Hollywood didn't put on a label. Let's pour one, raise a glass, and begin. Fact 1. The real-life origin of the book. What many don't realize is that the movie is based on a book by Heywood Gould, published in 1984, and that book was semi-autobiographical. Gould himself was a bartender in New York from 1969 to 1981, mixing drinks to support his writing. So the man behind the movie knew the bar world, not just as fiction, but from real nights behind the counter, waiting for tips, and thinking about more than just the next drink. This gives the film a layer. The glamorous bar tricks may sparkle, but the root of the story speaks of ambition, frustration, and wanting something more.
I take it back. You're not going to be famous. Too bad you couldn't keep your mouth shut about our sex life. It only gets better.
Fact 2. Training for the flair, bottles, tricks, and real risk. In the film, you see Tom Cruise flipping bottles, spinning ice cubes, making cocktails look like performance art. But that spectacle came at a cost. On set, Cruise trained at a bartending school in Toronto. At one point, the instructor refused to teach him certain bottle flips because in a real bar, the risk of broken glass and lawsuits was too high. They switched to using plastic bottles for safety. So when you see those slick moves on screen, they're not entirely fake. They're choreographed, rehearsed, risky. The flair bartending you see in a movie helped launch a renewed public interest in that art. Fact 3. The Death Spasm and Dinkling invented drinks with real legacy. The script dishes out fun cocktail names like Death Spasm, Pink Squirrel, Orgasm, Three-Toed Sloth, and Bryan's poetry-like monologue. Here's the twist: some of these drinks didn't exist at the time. Death Spasm seems to be made up, though perhaps inspired by the real death in the afternoon. And Dinkling appears in the film, but only later gets reworked by modern bartenders. So the movie didn't just reflect drink culture, it created part of it. And decades later, bartenders and cocktail aficionados look back and say, hey, that film gave us this name. Fact 4. Box office success versus critical torture. Here's one of cinema's great contradictions. Cocktail made over $170 million worldwide on a budget around $20 million. It became the 8th highest grossing film of 1988. And yet critics savaged it. One of the most pointed reviews by Roger Ebert called out the mismatch. The more you think about what really happens in Cocktail, the more you realize how empty and fabricated it really is. So the public said, we'll watch that, while the reviewers said, please don't. That duality gives the film its hidden tension spectacle for some cautionary sign for others. Fact 5. The casting what-ifs and almosts. You may know Tom Cruise as Brian Flanagan, but he wasn't the only name considered. In fact, according to some sources, a wide range of actors were eyed for the role before Cruise locked it in. Even for the female lead Jordan Mooney, Elisabeth Shue, many actresses were considered: Jennifer Grey, Demi Moore, Jodie Foster, Sarah Jessica Parker among them. Imagine different chemistry, different star power, different bar tricks. The film could have looked and felt very different. But fate and casting decisions landed where they did. Fact 6. Location, crew, and Jamaica dreaming. The film doesn't just take place in New York bars and resorts. Several key sequences were shot on the North Shore of Jamaica, in Dunn's River Falls, Dragon Bay Beach, Sandals Royal Plantation, among others. These exotic locales weren't just backdrops, they reflect Bryan's escape his dream of a faster, glitzier life. And for the crew, filming in Jamaica added tropical beauty and logistical complexity. When you see those palm trees, turquoise water, and sun-drenched beach bars, you're seeing a serious effort, not just a studio set. Fact 7. Subtext of 80s materialism and the twist of fate. On the surface, Cocktail looks like a fun, flashy story of a kid who bartends his way into wealth. But the deeper story, the one many critics felt got lost, is a critique of 80s ambition, of the chase for money, status, fancy bars. Screenwriter Haywood Gould later claimed that the film originally had a darker, more cynical tone, but in editing the more scandalous or serious parts were cut, leaving behind the glitz. So when Bryan celebrates achieving his bar and Jordan whispers she's expecting twins, it's easy to cheer. But if you look closely, there's a warning. What happens when ambition becomes your identity? When you chase the cocktail rather than the meaning. Fact 8. One scene, one mistake, big impact. During the filming of the love scene between Bryan and Coral, Gina Gershon, an unexpected moment happened. Gershon accidentally kneed Cruz in the nose. And the take they kept is the one with that real mishap. Later on, one extra detail, Cruz and Gershon both fell off the bed during the scene because she was extremely ticklish and he tickled her, and that fall-off bed take ended up in the film. These unplanned moments didn't ruin the footage, they became part of the texture. Sometimes, truth hides in an accident. Fact 9. The soundtrack that saved the summer. Listen closely, and you'll hear that the film's soundtrack became almost as big as the movie. The song Kokomo by the Beach Boys flew up the charts, reaching #1 in the U.S., Australia and Japan. That tropical, upbeat tune matched Bryan's Caribbean dream and gave the movie an earworm. So while critics were writing negative reviews, audiences were humming the soundtrack and remembering the bar scenes. Sometimes the sound sticks harder than the script. Fact 10. The Legacy. Raspberry Award winner and cult classic. Here's the final surprise. Cocktail won the dreaded Golden Raspberry Awards for Worst Picture and also Worst Screenplay in 1988. Yet, decades later, it has found a weird, beloved niche, one of so bad it's good. A movie you watch for the lights, the nostalgia, the youth of Tom Cruise, and the ambition of it all. In other words, the film failed to win critical acclaim, but succeeded in leaving a mark. And maybe that's exactly the point. So there you have it. Behind the glimmering bar, the bottle flips, the island cocktails, and the Big Dreams cocktail is more than a glossy 80s romance. It's a snapshot of ambition, of risk, of glamour, and of what happens when the shot you're chasing becomes the life you're living. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the hidden facts behind Cocktail, drop a like, subscribe for more cinematic secrets, and tell us in the comments which facts surprised you the most. Until next time, keep your shaker ready, your dreams high, and sip responsibly. Fade out.